The practice of taking notes has in general been slowly fading out of use in like just today's world. A lot of my teachers, like at college and even in high school, they just handed out packets that had the notes on them, so we didn't have to take them. Either that, or they just post a PowerPoint that covers all the main points on the course site, and then you don't even have to worry about like keeping track of where it is. It's just always there. That's just some of the things that have come over to replace taking notes by hand, and I as a in myself, I like taking notes by hand, and so I don't mind writing. Like I like writing my notes down, and it just like runs it through my mind again. Like it's almost like studying right then and there because you're writing it down. It's going through your head again. It's making you think about it a little bit more. And I used to take before I graduated high school. I used to take notes just like on a regular notebook, paper, whatever, 5 subject. But for my high school graduation, from my aunt, I received a gift of an electronic notebook. Now I had no idea what an electronic notebook was, but I was like, oh, cool, sounds cool. I'm gonna give it a try. So here I am right now. Um, it's called a Rocketbook, and it's basically a way to electronically. It's a way to handwrite your notes, but store them electronically, and it's just really handy. And the use of a Rocketbook in general to just take notes is gonna change the way you look at taking notes as a whole, no matter what kind of note taker you are, whether you use like a stylus to write on your laptop or if you just don't take notes at all, it's going to change the way you look at it because it just makes it so much easier and handier to access them. To kind of show you what it is, the Rocketbook, it's an electronic notebook that is created by the company called Rocketbook, obviously. They originally created 2 types. One was called the Everlast, and the other was called the Wave. And the main difference between the two, there are a lot of differences, but the main difference is that they erase differently, and it just affects the material the page is made of, and just the way you write on it and stuff like that. They advertise their notebooks as a cloud storage notebook because as far as I know, you cannot store it anywhere but like on cloud storage. I store mine on Google Drive, but you can also use like iCloud or something, anything like, I don't think you can store it on just like a file location on a computer. I mean, you can download it from cloud storage, but like to actually store it straight from Rocketbook, I'm pretty sure it has to be on cloud. And so I'm going to start with the Wave. The Wave, it's called that because it's mainly based off of actually a microwave, and so it's called the Wave. It has about 80 pages per notebook, which is pretty good for a reusable notebook. And so the way it works is you have to use a special pen. It's called a friction pen, and they have a special ink in them that disappears once it gets above a certain temperature. I don't know what the exact temperature is. It's just like pretty hot, like I'd say like 100 degrees or so. Once it gets above a certain temperature, the ink will disappear and go away. I mean, you can make it reappear if you take it down low, I'm pretty sure, but it'll go away if it heats up. So the way it works is you write on it with your special pen, and then once you have it all filled up, there's a bunch of icons that you use to upload to the drive. I'll talk more about that later. But so you upload all your notes to the drive, and then you just erase it. You take a cup of water. There's like a circle drawn on the front of the notebook. You take a cup of water, place it on the circle, and then stick it in the microwave and microwave it on high for about 4 to 5 minutes, depending on just your microwave and everything else. Microwave on high, and then it comes out and it's clean. Now, Rocketbook has advertised this notebook as reusable up to 5 times or even more, which is pretty good for a notebook. That's 80 times 5, that's 400 pages, and that's one notebook. And it takes a while to fill up 400 pages, depending on how many classes you're in, or if you're just taking notes for fun or making to-do lists for yourself at home, whatever. It'll take a while to fill up 400 pages, and that's from George 2020. And so since this can be used around 5 times, it's made of like a almost paper-like material. I would call it almost paper-like. It's not quite. It's still a little bit different, but it's mostly like just like almost paper, and it gets, I feel like, used up quicker than other, like just a regular notebook. I mean, obviously you're microwaving it, but it gets used up pretty quick just because microwaving paper like material, and just like the writing on the paper, it kind of just destroys it, and after 5 times it's probably about done, I would say. The other kind, called the Everlast, the Rocketbook Everlast, it's different. It has only about 32 pages, which is less than half, but it's also advertised as reusable from 50 to even endless times of being able to use it, which that's pretty amazing to me. So the pages are made of like an almost like a flexible whiteboard material, and again you have to use the special friction pens on it, and they have the special ink that disappears when it gets hot. And so this one you have to make sure you don't get it hot, or else your notes are gonna disappear. So like I would say the only way it could get up to that hot is if you have like sitting in the sun for a couple hours, because they do have a black lining. And I don't have a wave, but I have an Everlast, and that's the one I've experienced with. So I'll probably I can relate more to just the Everlast in general. And so the bad thing about the Everlast, the one thing I found that's really annoying, is that when you're taking your notes and you like, okay, you're in the middle of a thought and you have to flip to the next page. When you flip the Rocketbook, when you buy it on the packet, it recommends 15 seconds before you flip, just let the ink to dry because of the material of the page. Once the ink's dry, it won't smear, but when you flip the page, if it's still wet, it's going to smear a little bit. Now, usually I can kind of time it, and so I can wait a little bit when I'm about ready to flip a page, and it's not that bad. But there have been a couple times when I've just had to flip it right away because like the teacher's talking really fast. I need to get this down. I need to get it out of my head, or else I'm gonna lose it. And so I'll flip it right away, and I've experienced like minimal smearing, but not enough that I can't read it or tell what it is. And so I mean, maybe if you were like really OCD, no offense to anybody, if you were really OCD and it just really bugged you that there was like a small smear, I mean, that might be a downside. But and so they recommend waiting 15 seconds before you flip it. So that's the one icky part of it. And to erase it, it comes with like a microfiber cloth. So you just get like a corner of the cloth stamp, or like maybe half or so, and just wipe it down. It comes right off with just a little bit of water. You don't even have to get it like sopping wet. I would just like, you can just like use like a spritzer bottle and get it wet. It's not even that bad. And when you get it wet, you just wipe it off, and then you use the other half of the microfiber cloth, the dry part, to just dry it before you keep going. And you can erase the whole thing then just like that. And I wash my microfiber cloth just because the ink kind of builds up on it, and so I send it through a washing machine every once in a while. But it's really handy just because it comes off really easy. Like you're not sitting there scrubbing, like it just like you wipe and it comes off. It's so easy. And so you just have to make sure you don't get them too hot, or else your notes will disappear. To scan the notes to the cloud, you use the Rocketbook app. It's just an app you download, and you can link all your iCloud storage and everything to it. And when you do that, when you do link your stuff, there's icons provided on the app, and they're also printed on the bottom of each page. And so you select like, I want this icon to be linked to my Google Drive account, or like this certain folder. And then when you're ready to scan it, so like there's like a camera on the app, like when you're ready to scan your page, you just like mark an X or like circle the icon on the bottom of the page and then scan it, and then it recognizes that mark and it will send it to that location, so you don't have to worry about where it's going or sending it anywhere. And once you've scanned it, you can do that, or you can just like download it from cloud storage or store it wherever you want. It's like really easy, and it's just the way they've made it, you can access it. It's so nice. And the scanning quality is amazing too. Like you can zoom in like 150 times and it'll still be just as clear. Like it won't be like blurry. It's not like a picture like it gets blurry when you scan it in. Like when you zoom in, it's still clear. It's amazing the way it does it. And the erase is really white too. That's the thing that really surprised me as well. And the last part is just the benefit of it saves a lot of paper. I wouldn't say it makes a huge impact on the environment. I mean, if we all use them, maybe it would, but like it does save a lot of paper. The Everlast, especially, just because it's almost endless reusable depending on how brutal you are to it. But it's just lasts so long, and it can make just such an effect just on the way you take notes and everything. The mission of the creators of Rocketbook was just to create an easy way to bridge the gap between like the note-taking universe, just like writing notes on paper and like looking for your paper, everything, and the digital universe where everything's like organized and you know where everything is. You have folders, you can organize everything. And they debuted their first Rocketbook, the Wave was their first one that they created, on the Shark Tank, the show The Shark Tank in 2015, and it went really good for them. And while they were debuting that, they were still in the process of making the Everlast, so they came out with that pretty soon after that. And that's from the Rocketbook official website. And so since the Wave is dependent on a microwave, they wanted to come up with a notebook that wasn't like you could use without that. The one at the microfiber cloth that you erase, that they came up with that, and that's from Zeringer 2018. And then it's just like so handy to be able to, like, you don't have to rely on a microwave with that one. Like, you could take it anywhere. You just have your cloth and a little bit of water and you can erase it. It's just really nice. So if you are one of those people who still prefers to take notes, I have the product for you. I mean, just go on Amazon, look, get Rocketbook notebook. I recommend the Everlast just because I like it better, but you do what you want. But that's just an amazing way to do it, and they're really easy to use, and it's really easy just to access all of your notes and everything on like just your phone or anywhere you go. There's a laptop or anything, you can just go to your cloud or anything, and your notes are right there, and you can really study anywhere.